Greetings, this is Dr. Lori Ernstberger. Welcome to Behavioral Training Resource Center and my how-to series of teaching tips for the classroom. And today's series is on how to get a kid unstuck. So we've all had that experience where we've worked with a child. See, everything seems to be going relatively well. They're being compliant, following instructions, and then they start exhibiting interfering behaviors or misbehavior. So they're off task or not following instructions, they're getting incorrect responses. What do we do when we first start to notice that a child is not getting correct responses and not following our receptive instructions? So I want you to think of stop and switch. The first thing is we need to stop. If we continue to give the same instructions over and over, so if we're working on a worksheet or a task in the classroom and we repeat the same instructions to the student to get busy, to get back to work, that only teaches non-compliance, because the more the student is non-compliant and we repeat that instruction, they receive that attention and it just reinforces non-compliant behavior. So the first thing you need to do is recognize that this is occurring and stop what you're doing. The second part is switch. Stop and switch. And I want you to switch tasks. And there's three things you can do to switch tasks. The first thing is switch the task, but still within using the same task or the same materials. For example, if I'm working on a worksheet, I might switch the task from doing 10 spelling words to 5 spelling words. It's still the same spelling worksheet, but I'm just decreasing the amount of work for the student. I might have the student, if it's a math worksheet or in a textbook, I might have the student pick 5 problems that they want to work on next. So making it into smaller chunks, but within the same task, instead of saying we're doing the whole page of that textbook or writing out all of the sentences. So it's using the same materials, but you stop and switch to decrease the amount of work within that task, also including some choice making with the student. The second stop and switch is to switch within the task, but the demand is going to be completely different. So if I'm working on a math worksheet where we're doing multiplication facts, I'm going to still use the math worksheet, but switch the task to having the student find the number 5. Circle all the number 5s that you see on the page, or have the student find 3 numbers on that page, and all they have to do is just receptively touch the number 3 or the number 4 or 5, and we're just going to use that worksheet but change the demand of that task so that the student is still engaged with that task. So I might take a spelling worksheet that they were writing out the words and make it into where they're just expressively telling me, what does that word say? So we still use the same materials, but we lessen the demands by switching within the tasks what we want the student to do. The last way, the third way to stop and switch, because that's the 2 steps when a student is stuck, we stop and switch, is to switch the task completely. Let's put the worksheet away, the textbook, the original demand, and we're going to bring out something that the student has mastered in the past. I prefer to use something that's more tangible, like having the student sort through some flashcards of sight words and putting them in a sequence, or matching their sight words. Maybe I'm going to have the student sort money by coins and dollars. Something that's a little bit more tangible helps to get that student unstuck, while we can reinforce then correct responses and reinforce their compliant behavior for them following instructions. So the one step we're going to look at is completely switching the task and the demands, pulling out different materials. That's going to require a little planning on your part so that you always have another set of tasks for the student to do. Then we're going to go back to those original demands and build momentum as the student is successful. So what do we do when a student gets stuck? We stop and switch. We stop and switch with the materials. We stop and switch sometimes with the demands, or we switch materials. It doesn't mean the student is not going to complete the task. we're going to go back to that at a later date, and we know that the following day, we're going to break that task down even smaller so that the student can be successful and not get stuck. If you want to learn more about how to get a student unstuck, try reading information on pivotal response training and specifically on interspersals, because when we intersperse different tasks, we tend to keep students more engaged and responding correctly. Or you can contact me for more information at Dr. Lori, DRLORI, at cox.net or Behavioral Training Resource Center, and I'll be happy to provide you with more information on how to get a student unstuck. Thanks and happy teaching.